Hey y'all, I'm back with your Diddy trial update. Before we dive into day 11, which was wild, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of this. Today, we're breaking down the full testimony of Deonte Nash, Diddy's former stylist and close friend of Cassie. This was one of the most explosive days yet, with emotional revelations, tense cross-examination, and even a few lighter moments. Get comfy, grab a snack, and let's get into it. When Deonte Nash took the stand, he made it clear from the jump that he did not want to be there. He said he was only testifying because he was subpoenaed. But testify he did, and oh boy, the tea was scalding. Nash worked as a stylist for Sean Diddy Combs for about a decade, and he was very close to Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, throughout her 11-year on-and-off relationship with Diddy. He saw them together at least once a week, so he had a front-row seat to their tumultuous life. Nash painted a disturbing picture of Diddy's control over Cassie. He didn't just style her outfits, he witnessed how Diddy micromanaged and mistreated her behind the scenes. Nash dropped several jaw-dropping examples of what Cassie endured. Verbal abuse. Diddy frequently hurled ugly names at Cassie. Baby girl, CC, Cass could flip in an instant to bitch, slut, or hoe. According to Nash, bitch was Diddy's favorite go-to. Cassie would just silently take it. Nash recalled that she'd look sad whenever Diddy lashed out like that. Constant threats. If Cassie didn't do exactly as told, Diddy would threaten her in all kinds of ways. He'd say things like he'd get her parents fired from their jobs, or even send her sex tapes to her own family as revenge. He also lorded his power over her music career. Nash testified that Diddy warned, if Cassie kept having a smart-ass mouth, her little mixtape won't come out. In other words, if she displeased him, he'd shelve her music and sabotage her career. Total control. Diddy wanted control over everything in Cassie's life, down to trivial details. Nash remembered an incident where Diddy dictated how Cassie should wear her hair for a Vanity Fair Oscar party. Seriously, even her hairstyle had to be approved by him. It was that controlling. And then came the violence. Nash described a graphic, heart-wrenching incident that had the courtroom riveted. It was around 2013 or 2014 at Cassie's apartment in Los Angeles. Cassie, Nash, and one of Diddy's assistants, who we know by the pseudonym Mia, were packing Cassie's clothes for a music festival. Cassie had dozed off on the couch. Suddenly, there's a loud knock at the door. Nash answers, and who is it? Diddy, unannounced. Diddy was enraged. "Bitch, didn't I tell you to answer the phone?" he screamed at Cassie. Before she could even fully wake up, Diddy grabbed Cassie by her hair and dragged her off the couch. In a flash, he started hitting her hard. Cassie was stunned and terrified. Nash testified that he, Cassie, and Mia tried to escape into a bedroom and slam the door, but Diddy was in such a rage that he shoved his way in. What followed was absolute chaos. Diddy was punching and kicking Cassie as she screamed. Nash and Mia weren't just bystanders, they jumped on Diddy's back, desperately trying to pry him off of Cassie. Mia actually clung on until Diddy threw her off across the room. Nash held on as long as he could, but Diddy was just too strong and enraged. He kept attacking Cassie mercilessly. The assault only stopped when Cassie's head slammed against the edge of a bed frame. The impact split her forehead open. Blood started pouring down her face. Nash described the scene. She was bleeding profusely in shock. Diddy finally stepped back. He stood over Cassie and said, "Look what y'all made me do." Mia rushed to grab towels to stanch the bleeding. Meanwhile, Nash, panicking, actually dialed 911. But get this, someone, he couldn't recall who, possibly Diddy or one of his people, told him to hang up, and he did. Diddy, perhaps realizing he'd gone way too far, sprang into cleanup mode. Nash testified that Diddy sent Cassie to a private doctor, a plastic surgeon, the very next day to treat her head wound. The day after the assault, Nash saw Cassie's injuries. She had a nasty gash near her eyebrow and stitches in her forehead. Imagine your boyfriend beats you so badly you need a plastic surgeon to hide it, and you're expected to carry on like nothing happened. Absolutely horrific. That wasn't the only violent episode Nash recounted. In another incident around 2013, Nash said that he and Cassie were cooking at his place when Diddy showed up unexpectedly, wanting to talk to her. Cassie and Diddy went into the bedroom to speak privately, but things quickly escalated. According to Nash, he suddenly heard Diddy erupt. Diddy yanked Cassie by her hair and screamed, "I don't give a... You're going to get up out of my house." Nash didn't catch every word, but he could tell Diddy was in one of his rages. Diddy allegedly dragged Cassie halfway out the bedroom door by her hair and clothing. Nash intervened and Diddy smacked him in the back of the head, popped him, as Nash put it. Eventually, Cassie and Nash managed to get away from Diddy's grasp and fled the apartment. They headed downstairs where Diddy's security team was waiting. In a surreal scene, security blocked Nash's car in so they couldn't leave immediately. Moments later, Diddy came storming down after them. Cassie got into Nash's car and Diddy confronted them through the car window. Nash recalled Diddy yelling something to the effect of, "You think you're going to play me? Take your broke and ride off into the sunset." It was a tirade of insults. Then Diddy told Cassie she had effed up and that he was going to put her sex tapes on the internet for everyone to see. He even said he'd start by selling them to her parents' workplaces so her own family and colleagues would see her in those videos. He spat out that Cassie's brother was a bitch and that Diddy was the only one who really protected her. It was pure intimidation. Cassie sat there in tears, devastated. Nash drove off with her, finally getting away from Diddy that night. Later, as they calmed down, Nash tried to console Cassie. He testified that he told her, essentially, if he's threatening to leak those sex tapes, let him. After all, he's in them too, it'll hurt him as well. But Cassie revealed something that shocked even Nash. Diddy wasn't in those tapes. Instead, she confided that he had recorded her having sex with other men, essentially forced encounters with male prostitutes that Diddy arranged. Cassie told Nash she never wanted to do that stuff, but Puff insisted on it. If that rings a bell, it's because it matches Cassie's own testimony about those notorious freak-off sessions Diddy orchestrated. Absolutely sickening. Nash's stories didn't stop there. He testified about another frightening moment involving Diddy's jealousy and violence. This time, Nash himself was the target. He said during a music video shoot in 2013, he stepped outside for a smoke break. Out of nowhere, Diddy came at Nash in a fury, choking Nash against the car. Diddy was yelling about Nash and Cassie going out somewhere without his permission. Imagine, your boss/partner is so possessive, he attacks your friends for hanging out with you. Nash said he didn't fight back. He was in shock and just tried to get through it. After all these incidents, did Nash run to the police? No, and he admitted this openly. He said he never reported any of these violent episodes to law enforcement out of fear. He was scared of retaliation from Diddy, scared of what this powerful man might do if he snitched. Instead, Nash confided in a couple of people in Diddy's circle. For example, he told Diddy's then Chief of Staff, Christina Karam, hoping she could talk sense into Diddy. She told Nash she tried to intervene, but as Nash dryly noted, nothing changed. The violence didn't stop. Through all of this testimony, Nash remained fairly composed, but you could feel the emotion underneath. This was his close friend Cassie being abused, and even he himself got caught in the crossfire. The courtroom was hanging on every word. Some jurors looked visibly disturbed during the most graphic parts. You could see a few people frown or exchange glances when Nash described Cassie's head bleeding. It was intense. Nash, for his part, emphasized that he was loyal to Cassie throughout those years and tried to protect her as best as he could, but Diddy's power was intimidating. Now, one key thing about Nash's testimony, it isn't happening in isolation. It actually bolsters and aligns with a lot of what we've already heard from other witnesses over the previous 2 weeks. This trial has featured several women who have accused Diddy of abuse, and their stories are painting a very consistent picture. First and foremost, Cassie Ventura herself, the star witness for the prosecution, testified at length, 4 days on the stand, about her 11-year relationship with Combs. Much of what Nash described matches Cassie's own account. Cassie told the jury about Diddy's violent outbursts, the way he controlled her life and career, and those degrading freak-off sex sessions he pressured her into with male sex workers. For example, Cassie recounted a time Diddy beat her so badly she had to seek medical help for her face. Nash comes in and recounts seeing a beating where Cassie's head was injured and needed stitching by a surgeon. That directly reinforces Cassie's claim. Cassie also testified that Diddy threatened to release explicit videos of her and had leveraged her music as a means of control, exactly what Nash corroborated with his inside knowledge. When Nash shared that Cassie confided in him about not wanting to go to the hotel and freak off with Diddy and other men, it backed up Cassie's own harrowing testimony that she felt forced into those situations. In short, Nash's testimony is like a puzzle piece, fitting perfectly into Cassie's larger story. He provided an eyewitness account to some of the worst abuse Cassie described. That's powerful for the jury to hear from a third party. It also aligns with what we heard from other witnesses. Earlier in the trial, a former Combs assistant named Capricorn Clark testified. She was on the stand just the day before. She too said she personally saw Diddy physically assault Cassie on at least one occasion. Hearing Nash, a completely different witness, describe a similar violent episode gives the prosecution a stronger case. It's not just Cassie's word. It's multiple people who were in Diddy's circle saying, yeah, he did this stuff. And we're about to hear even more on this theme. The next witness expected is Mia. That's the pseudonym for one of Diddy's former assistants, who was also an alleged victim of his abuse. Mia is actually the assistant who was present with Nash during that horrifying beatdown at Cassie's apartment, the one who jumped on Diddy's back and got tossed off. She hasn't testified yet, as of day 11, but prosecutors plan to have her corroborate that incident in detail. So far, we've only heard Nash's version of it. Mia can likely confirm every beat of that story and perhaps share her own terrifying experiences with Diddy. On top of that, earlier in day 11, before Nash took the stand, there was also testimony about a completely different episode, the alleged firebombing of rapper Kid Cudi's car in 2012. Why is that relevant? Well, Kid Cudi is an artist Cassie was rumored to be interested in at one point, and prosecutors suggest Diddy was so jealous that he retaliated violently. Imagine blowing up a car. An Los Angeles arson investigator testified about that incident. And while it's a separate thread, it feeds into the prosecution's theme. Diddy ran his world like an oppressive regime, using fear, violence, and intimidation to control not just Cassie, but others around him. So by the end of day 11, it's clear Deonte Nash's testimony didn't come out of left field. It solidified the broader narrative established by prior witnesses. It also set the stage for upcoming witnesses like Mia. If you're on the jury, you're likely seeing a pattern, story after story, witness after witness, all pointing to Sean Diddy Combs as a man who would beat his girlfriend, terrorize his employees, and stop at nothing to maintain power over those in his inner circle. It's a lot to take in, and Nash's account was one of the most dramatic so far. There was also a noteworthy moment when the judge denied a defense motion for mistrial early in the day. The defense was grasping at straws over some testimony about fingerprint evidence related to that Kid Cudi card incident. They argued the prosecution's questions were prejudicial, basically accusing Diddy of tampering with evidence. Judge Subramanian shut that down and told the jury to disregard that bit, but firmly refused to call a mistrial. Why is this significant? It shows the defense is actively pushing back hard whenever they can, but so far the judge isn't giving them much leeway. The trial rolls on. This happened before Nash testified, but it set a tone that the defense was maybe on their heels a bit. And let's not forget an emotional life update that happened outside the courtroom. Cassie Ventura actually gave birth to a baby boy on this very day, day 11. She had testified while in her third trimester. Incredibly, Nash even mentioned he spoke to Cassie on the phone the day before and knew she was about to have the baby. So as he's on the stand defending his friend's honor, Cassie was in a hospital welcoming new life. Kind of poetic, isn't it? The jurors were informed that Cassie went into labor after her testimony concluded, which I'm sure garnered some sympathy for her. It underscores how much she put on the line to testify. She was literally about to give birth while recounting these traumatic events. That's dedication, and it wasn't lost on anyone following the trial. Now, I'm curious what you all think. Was Nash's testimony the nail in the coffin for Diddy, or do you think the defense raised some valid questions about his credibility? Did his descriptions shock you, or did they simply confirm what Cassie and others already alleged? Let me know in the comments. I'm reading all of them. This trial has so many layers, and I want to hear your take on this latest development. If you found this breakdown helpful or informative, please give this video a thumbs up. It really supports the channel. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Join the fam so you won't miss any of our trial recaps and analysis. We've got a lot more to cover as this case continues, and I'll be here every step of the way to give you the latest with that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Until next time, take care!